Jake Martinez rubbed at his weary eyes as he gazed at the glowing monitors inside Luna Station Alpha's communications center. The night shift was usually uneventful, but tonight carried a strange tension. For 3 years, he had monitored deep space transmissions, and nothing remarkable had ever occurred during those long hours stretching between midnight and dawn. Most nights were spent watching automated systems sweep empty skies while he sipped coffee and fought off sleep. The massive arrays were always aimed toward the farthest edges of human-explored territory, listening for signals of intelligent life or signs of danger approaching Earth. So far, all they had uncovered was background radiation and the rare pulse of distant stars. Jake often wondered whether humanity truly stood alone in the cosmos, or if perhaps they were simply searching in the wrong place, until Amy Rodriguez burst through the reinforced metal doors with such force, Jake nearly spilled his coffee across the control panel. Her face was ghostly pale, hands trembling as she rushed to his console. She looked as though she had witnessed something terrifying, breath ragged as she tried to speak. "Sir, you need to hear this immediately," she said, her voice quivering with both fear and excitement. "I intercepted something on the deep space scanner about 10 minutes ago, and I've been cleaning up the signal ever since." Jake studied her carefully. Amy was normally steady and professional during shifts. He had never seen her shaken before, which only deepened his concern. She hurried to the audio station, fingers fumbling across dials. "What kind of signal, Amy?" Jake asked, leaning closer. "Is it one of ours or some natural event we've never cataloged?" Amy shook her head hard, pointing toward the wall speakers. "No, sir. It's artificial, and it's human. But given the distance and trajectory, that should be impossible." She activated the main channel, filling the room with harsh static that pierced their ears. Gradually, she tuned filters and volume until a faint, broken voice surfaced from the noise. Distorted but unmistakably human, it carried a strained British accent. "This is Colony Ship Endeavour. Calling any human vessels able to receive," the voice crackled desperately. "Today marks day 847 since our capture by hostile alien forces in the Kepler 442 system." Jake felt the blood drain from his body as the words struck. The Endeavour was one of Earth's first colony ships, launched 15 years ago toward what scientists had sworn was an empty system. It carried over 50,000 settlers, families, and children, seeking new lives among the stars. No word had ever been received after launch, and most assumed Jake's stomach twisted with horror and fury. "They're using us for experiments and genetic tampering beyond anything I can fully describe. Please, if anyone hears this transmission, we are prisoners in the Kepler 442 system under beings who call themselves the Zephyrian Empire." Amy stared at Jake, her eyes wide with fear and disbelief. "Sir, this can't be real, can it?" she whispered. How could aliens have captured one of humanity's colony ships without anyone knowing? Before Jake could reply, the transmission pressed on, revealing even darker truths about the colonists' fate. "They see us as animals, toys for their amusement and research. They force us to fight one another and monstrous creatures in arenas while they watch and gamble on the outcome." The voice began to quaver with emotion, describing conditions no human should ever endure. Families torn apart, children taken for special experiments that warped their minds and bodies. Many had already died, and those who lived were no longer who they had been. Jake knew he had to alert the highest levels of command at once. "Amy, start recording everything and pinpoint the exact origin of this signal," he ordered, reaching for the priority line. "I'm contacting Admiral Lisa Thompson immediately. This demands Earth Command's attention." Suddenly, the transmission erupted with human screams and alien voices in a language neither Jake nor Amy recognized. The shrieking went on for seconds before fading into static, then silence. They stood frozen, trying to absorb what they'd just heard. "Get me Admiral Thompson on the emergency channel now," Jake barked. "And start a full analysis on this signal. I need everything about its source and what's happening out there." Amy worked furiously at the consoles while Jake reached Earth Command through the quantum link. Luna Station Alpha's night crew had never faced anything like this. Everyone struggled to grasp the implications of their discovery. More fragments began coming through the arrays as Amy fine-tuned the receivers. Each new detail painted an even grimmer image of the Zephyrian Empire's atrocities. Accounts surfaced of humans thrown into gladiator pits to battle alien predators for their captors' amusement. Other fragments described medical horrors where human DNA was being Eichel failure. But as the voice spasm tightened as she read the grim reports. Human DNA was being fused with alien genomes to craft hybrid abominations. Children were confined in isolation chambers, studied like lab rats to chart their growth, while adults were harvested for biological material, commodities to be traded with other alien species. By the time dawn crept over the lunar horizon, Jake and Amy had gathered enough data to confirm the signal's authenticity. Analysis pinpointed its source to the very coordinates where the colony ship Endeavour was meant to found its settlement. Every detail confirmed that thousands of human lives were crying out for rescue from the void. Admiral Lisa Thompson reached Luna Station Alpha within hours of Jake's emergency alert. She listened to the full recordings, her expression hardening with every second. When the final static faded, she remained silent, then spoke with iron resolve. Prepare a comprehensive briefing with all available data. I'm returning to Earth immediately to present this to the Global Defense Council. This changes everything we believed about humanity's place in the cosmos. As her vessel departed, Jake stayed at his console, ears tuned to the frequencies, desperate for more fragments from Endeavor's survivors. The message was horrifying, but it also ignited something dangerous within the human spirit. Their children were crying from the dark, and their captors had committed the fatal error of letting that cry reach home. In Washington, Helen Carter stood in the Oval Office, staring at classified files spread across her desk as advisors and scientists filled every seat. 6 hours had passed since Admiral Thompson delivered proof of the transmission, and already the president felt the crushing weight of history on her shoulders. Never before had humanity faced such a clear, immediate threat from beyond the stars. General Paul Davis cleared his throat, his words measured by decades of service. Madam President, we've verified authenticity through multiple independent analyses. There is no question. Our people are being held by this Zephyrian empire. Helen nodded, eyes flicking to satellite images of Earth's fragile orbital infrastructure, suddenly inadequate for what lay ahead. General, how long to mobilize our fleet for a rescue mission in Kepler 442? Paul shifted uneasily, delivering the truth everyone dreaded. Ma'am, with respect, we've never constructed a deep space fleet for combat against hostile alien forces. Our vessels are built for exploration, logistics, and research, hardly armed or armored for war. The president's jaw tightened, pressed on through the static. What Jake heard next made his clenched with fierce determination as she grasped the scale of what lay ahead. Then we build exactly what we need, General, she said. Failure is not an option when it comes to rescuing our people from alien captivity. Dr. Susan Blake, head of the Space Defense Initiative, stepped forward holding a tablet filled with preliminary schematics and cost analyses. Madam President, with emergency powers and unlimited funding, we can adapt our current spacecraft for military use. The industrial capacity exists across America and our allies. But this would be the greatest undertaking in human history. Helen scanned the room, meeting eyes brimming with fear and resolve before issuing the order that would alter humanity's destiny among the stars. Dr. Blake, you have every resource you need. I want preliminary designs ready for review within 72 hours. Similar conversations were already happening in government chambers worldwide as classified reports of the alien threat spread. In Moscow, President Vladimir Petro conferred with generals over intelligence on the Zephyrian Empire. In Beijing, Chairman Liu authorized massive expansions of orbital manufacturing. In London, Prime Minister Catherine Williams coordinated European partners to pool their resources for the conflict ahead. For the first time in history, every major power on Earth rallied toward one goal, setting aside the rivalries and territorial disputes that had defined international politics for centuries. The alien menace had done what decades of diplomacy never could: unite humanity with a shared enemy threatening its very survival. Captain Ben Williams received his new orders mid-cargo run between Mars and the asteroid belt. His vessel, the Horizon Runner, was an ordinary freighter meant for hauling supplies across the system, but nothing in his career prepared him for the message waiting in his queue. Captain Williams, return to Earth orbit immediately for emergency military conversion. All civilian space operations are suspended until further notice from Earth Command. Additional details will be provided upon arrival at Luna Station Alpha. Ben stared at the orders in growing disbelief before summoning his navigator, Lisa Murphy, to the bridge. Was not an option. Captain Lisa Martinez commanded the destroyer UES Vengeance, built around the salvaged engines of her old cargo hauler. The transformation from merchant captain to warship commander had been hard, but the thought of human children suffering in alien laboratories gave her all the resolve she needed. Her crew of former civilian pilots and engineers had been molded into warriors by endless drills and simulations. "Navigation, report our jump coordinates," Lisa ordered, eyes locked on her tactical displays streaming real-time fleet data. "I want our dropout point precise." Lieutenant Dan Cooper checked his instruments with the precision drilled into every crew member over 2 years of military training. "Ma'am, we'll exit at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, approximately 100 million kilometers from the primary star and 50 million from the third planet where the prisoners are believed held." The navigation computers had plotted the route from decades of deep space, observation cross-referenced, with the Endeavour survivors' transmissions. The fleet would arrive close enough to launch an immediate rescue, but far enough to avoid potential alien defenses. Admiral Thompson opened a channel linking him to every ship in the Liberation Fleet. As he prepared to speak, the words that would ignite humanity's first interstellar war, crews and officers across hundreds of vessels fell silent to listen. "This is Admiral Thompson to all vessels of the Earth Liberation Fleet," he began, gazing at the Armada, a symbol of 2 years of unprecedented unity and resolve. "Today we embark on a journey that will take us farther from home than any human has ever gone, and into battle against an enemy that has underestimated what we are capable of." He paused, letting his words settle before continuing with the message every soul aboard had been waiting to hear. "We do not go as conquerors seeking territory, but as liberators fighting to rescue our own. Every human in the Kepler system is depending on us to bring them home, and we will not fail, no matter what stands in our path." Rick thought of the fragmented transmissions that had reached Earth over the past 2 years. Children stolen from families and twisted by genetic experiments. Adults forced to fight alien predators for the amusement and wagers of their captors. The aliens who seized our people believe humanity is just another primitive race to be enslaved without consequence, the Admiral continued, his voice edged with steel. "Today they will learn that was the greatest mistake they could ever make." Across the fleet, communication channels erupted with acknowledgments as ship commanders confirmed combat readiness. The colossal Judgment-class vessels powered up their gravitational cannons, while destroyers and battleships ran final checks on their conventional weapons. Medical ships activated their triage bays, preparing to treat survivors who might emerge broken after years of alien captivity. "Navigation reports, all ships have locked jump coordinates," the fleet navigation officer confirmed. Faster-than-light drives charged and standing by for synchronized activation. Admiral Thompson took a final look at Earth suspended in the black void, the cradle of humanity, before giving the order that would forever alter history. "All ships engage FTL now, and may God help any alien that dares stand between us and our people." In a blinding surge of exotic light, the Liberation Fleet disappeared from orbit. 847 human warships surged into the depths of the void, leaving behind a world united in resolve and moving toward an empire still unaware of what was about to descend upon them. The signal that had once carried humanity's cries of anguish was about to be answered, with vengeance forged into steel and fire. The fleet emerged at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, sensors flaring to life across every vessel. Officers gasped at the sight before them. The Empire had transformed the entire star system into a fortress. Orbital batteries, defense platforms, and warships numbering in the hundreds encircled the third planet like a wall of blades. Admiral Rick Thompson studied the tactical displays aboard the Retribution, eyes narrowing as he counted enemy formations. The Zephyrians had long assumed no primitive species would ever dare challenge them, and their defenses reflected arrogance rather than true strategic depth. "Sir, detecting human life signs on the surface," Lieutenant Dan Cooper reported, his voice tight. "Approximately 40,000, but there are anomalies in the biological readings." Rick's chest tightened as he guessed what that implied. "What kind of anomalies, Lieutenant? And how severe?" Dan rechecked his instruments before speaking, his tone grim. "Many of the captives show unnatural genetic modifications. Some scans suggest cybernetic implants or augmentations of unknown origin." Rage rippled across the bridge as officers clenched their fists, picturing colonists twisted into experiments. "Continue scanning," Rick ordered, jaw set. "Prepare full medical profiles. Our rescue teams need to know exactly what they're facing down there." Suddenly, hostile transmissions flooded the channels. The Zephyrian fleet surged forward with the swagger of predators circling prey. An alien voice, filtered through broken English, spat venom across the void. "This is Zephyrian Fleet Command to unidentified primitives. Withdraw immediately and return to your world, or face annihilation. Your species has been marked for harvest. Interference with Imperial property will not be tolerated." Rick allowed himself a cold smile. The arrogance was suffocating and proof they still had no idea what humanity had become. "Communications open a response. Ensure every vessel in their formation hears this." The channel opened. Admiral Thompson's voice carried through the system with iron clarity. "This is Admiral Rick Thompson, commanding the Earth Liberation Fleet. You have 72 hours to return every human in your custody, unaltered, unharmed, or we will show you why humans do not make good slaves." The alien reply came instantly, in weapons fire and acceleration. The Zephyrian fleet advanced, shields blazing, energy cannons charging to full strength. Their doctrine was clear: crush defiance before it could ignite rebellion. "Sir, enemy vessels are forming attack positions," Commander Kate Johnson reported from Tactical. "Their designs emphasize intimidation, but their sheer numbers and the output of their energy weapons exceed our current shield tolerances." Rick nodded grimly, studying the alien maneuvers. Centuries of bullying weaker species had left the Zephyrians predictable. That arrogance would be their undoing. "Commanders, battle stations. Activate Operation Homecoming," Admiral Thompson ordered. "It's time these aliens learn what happens when they harm Earth's children." What followed would be etched into history as the moment humanity declared itself a galactic power. Human ships moved with disciplined precision, centuries of war doctrine guiding every maneuver. The Zephyrian fleet unleashed raw firepower and intimidation, but without tactical adaptability, their advantage collapsed. Captain Lisa Martinez led her destroyer squadron straight into the enemy line, kinetic slugs ripping through energy shields as if they were mist. "Target their command ship," she ordered, voice sharp. "Concentrate fire on the bridge section." Alien vessels, with their sweeping hulls and radiant cores, looked fearsome, but they were designed to awe, not to withstand determined opposition. Nuclear detonations ripped through their formations, while particle beams carved apart defenses. On the UES Discovery, Dr. Alex Foster finally witnessed his experimental weapons unleashed. Gravity bombs collapsed enemy warships into dense spheres of wreckage, while quantum disruptors shredded molecular bonds, turning ships into expanding fireballs. "Admiral, the enemy flagship is retreating," reported the sensor officer. Alien vessels began withdrawing toward planetary defenses. "Shall we pursue or prioritize the rescue?" Rick weighed the battlefield, eyes narrowing as Zephyrian wreckage filled the tactical display. "Let them run, but no ship leaves this system alive. Word must not spread before we're ready." Then the hidden Judgment-class warships were unleashed. Built in secret, they carried humanity's most terrifying weapons. Gravitational cannons shattered orbital platforms, ripping stations apart like toys. Shockwaves rolled through the alien lines. "Sir, we're receiving multiple surrender requests," the COAM's officer announced, almost grinning. "They want to negotiate for the prisoner's release." Rick's face hardened. "No, they had their chance. They chose violence. Now they'll reap the cost." For 6 relentless hours, human ships dismantled every resisting vessel, securing orbital dominance. Medical ships prepared for the rescue that would finally bring the Endeavor's survivors home. On the surface, Colonel Amy Davis led the ground assault. Her Marines had trained 2 years for this. "Remember, these people have endured hell," she reminded them before deployment. "Some may not even look human anymore, but they are ours, and we're bringing them home." The orbital bombardment cleared defenses, but bunkers remained. Inside, Marines discovered horrors, labs filled with dissected organs, genetic charts, and modification logs. "Ma'am, we found survivors," Sergeant Frank Martinez radioed from below. "You need to see this." Amy descended into underground chambers, where dozens lay chained to surgical tables or caged like animals. Many were unrecognizable, implanted with cybernetics, spliced with alien DNA, reshaped into grotesque forms. Children bore scales, twisted limbs, or glowing alien eyes. Amy knelt beside one altered girl. "My God, what have they done to you?" she whispered, voice breaking. "Don't worry, sweetheart. We're taking you home." Dr. Susan Roberts and her medical team rushed to stabilize survivors, documenting the irreversible alterations. "Colonel, some changes are permanent," she admitted grimly. "We can't undo genetic rewrites at this scale." Rage burned in Amy's chest as she moved deeper into the nightmare. Breeding chambers, separated families, children raised in isolation. This was cruelty by design, not science. Meanwhile, aboard the Retribution, Admiral Thompson received updates as his fleet rooted out the last defenders. Then came the breakthrough. "Sir, we've hacked their quantum comms. We're inside the Empire's database." Rick studied the streams of data, his face tightening. "What are we looking at?" 17 core systems, 43 slave worlds, 15 other species enslaved for centuries, the officer reported. Entire civilizations stripped, worlds gutted. Earth was next. The realization struck hard. Their mission had outgrown a simple rescue. This was a galactic fight. On the surface, Amy confirmed evacuation of all living captives, just under 25,000. Nearly 15,000 had perished in captivity. Survivors carried scars that medicine might never erase. Back on the Retribution, Rick stood in silence before the stars. "Communications. Open a channel to Earth Command. We'll need more ships, more weapons." This war just changed. Lieutenant Frank Martinez approached with final reports. "Sir, what are our new orders?" Rick looked at him, seeing the future in his young officer's eyes. "Frank, we're not going home to celebrate. This was only the beginning." Fleet-wide comms crackled as the Admiral addressed every soul in the Liberation Fleet. "Today we learned the truth. Our mission is no longer only about saving our people. Dozens of species are enslaved, and they too cry out for freedom. We will answer." The original broadcast had been a plea for help. Now, it was a spark that ignited a galactic war. "The Zepyrian Empire's age of tyranny is ending," Rick declared, "and the age of universal freedom is about to begin."